welcome to the Big Three. This week, we're talking about some of the biggest trends in the new car market, Kia's new truck, and the official return of the Honda Prelude. Plus, the surging popularity of the RESTOMOD. We're going to get into our favorites, but first, a huge change for Indycar. Welcome to the Big Three, the only car news show you need to listen to. What's up, everybody? My name is Nolan Sykes. I'm joined this week by Max Maddox.
Howdy, Council.
And Justin Freeman.
Oh, man.
I hope you guys had a safe July 4th weekend.
Great.
You know who didn't have a good 4th of July weekend? That guy who got his boat stuck in the tunnel under LAX. Did you guys see this video? This dude was pulling a yacht, and there's a tunnel that goes under LAX.
Yeah.
And he clipped the ceiling of the tunnel and got completely jammed. The entire part of the 405 was completely stuck.
Goodness.
On 4th of July, or maybe the 5th of July, sometime that weekend anyway. Yeah, it was a mess.
Sucks.
Why are you hauling a yacht at LAX?
Probably didn't know the area, didn't know that that's what was going to happen. If I had to guess,
Probably,
the GPS is probably just like, hey, take the shortest route.
He's using a boat GPS.
Yeah.
Probably going from Playa del Rey over to Venice, and just took the shortcut.
Yeah, Google needs a tow option.
Or
I'm towing a trailer.
Towing big things option. Click that box for sure.
Or just like be sober when you're towing a boat.
Or that. Okay, so
that's why he was drunk.
This past weekend, IndyCar made its official switch to hybrid power. These new engines are 2.2-liter twin-turbo V6 hybrids that can make over 800 horsepower at certain tracks.
Woo! Dang.
Yeah, that's pretty gnarly. The switch isn't quite as radical as it might seem on the surface, though. The engines have changed a lot in IndyCar over the years. For decades, the most dominant engine was actually a naturally aspirated four-cylinder, as past gas listeners might know from our episode on Offenhauser. I believe like a couple years ago, it was also like a twin-turbo four-cylinder or twin-turbo V6.
I mean, at one point in IndyCar, they had V16s. There have been V8s.
Whoa.
I mean, there have been insane engines over the years. And so, the idea of it going hybrid sounds like pretty whack at first. But if you think about it, I mean, like they've always been evolving.
Formula One's been hybrid for 10 years now.
Yeah.
And they're making well over 1,000 horsepower, and they've been trying to make them sound gnarlier. I feel like this season, too, like they made some rule changes to make the exhaust sound a little bit peppier than previous hybrid cars. So, I mean, not that new.
But the F1 cars change in length every time they change platform or something,
pretty
right?
much, yeah.
Whereas the IndyCar, nothing
just
changes.
an engine, that's it? Everything else is the same?
Yeah, the cars are the same.
Yeah.
You're right, Justin. They're actually over in F1, they're trying to make the cars shorter now to make them more nimble around street courses like Monaco and all that. Anyway, with this new drivetrain comes some new strategies for IndyCar. The extra power from the hybrid battery isn't limitless and will deplete for a short period of use. Drivers will then lose power while regenerating those batteries.
Okay.
So this is really cool to me. It reminds me of old video games when you get your NOS. Right?
Yeah.
You got to drift. You got to do clean passes or perfect turns, and then you build up your little NOS boost gauge or whatever. And this is like, I guess they can use it like DRS, where I have a hot pass button at this point.
It's more like a
but also
push to pass kind of deal.
So it's two different things. There's a push to pass, but then there's also hybrid engaged, which gives you additional power.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they have to think about how they recharge it throughout the rest, like until they get it again, which to me is sick.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
But I was watching some interviews and they're just like, oh yeah, it's kind of a new dynamic or whatever. And it's just like, guys, come on. That's cool. You have to think about another thing. And if you use it at the wrong point, it'll make you blow the turn, So it's like, or your car will spin out because you'll just get all this power immediately if you freak out and press it.
Yeah.
Like, I got to catch back up.
I don't think Indy cars have been this powerful in decades.
I'm not sure.
For a long time, yeah.
Wow.
Neat.
But this is 800 sometimes. So not every track.
Makes sense. I mean, if you have I don't know, course that's like really tight, like, what was it last week? Or
Mid-Ohio they were at.
Yeah. That was where they made their debut, but street courses like Detroit or even Long Beach, I think could probably warrant that. That's got a really long straight.
Yeah, or like oval tracks, like the strategy is completely different. On an oval track versus a street course. Yeah, pretty interesting.
You can see that we're real experts in IndyCar.
Yeah, I think I speak on behalf of all car enthusiasts when I say that this technology is neat.
Yeah.
For sure. So these horsepower gains and losses will have impacts on the car's handling, like you mentioned, Justin.
Yeah.
The first qualifying session for the engines was one to remember. IndyCar had its closest Fast 6 split ever, with only 0.0024 seconds separating Alex Palou on pole from Pato O'Ward. That's a really close margin there.
The thousandths.
Yeah. Pato O'Ward went on to take the first win of the hybrid era at Mid-Ohio. Congratulations, Pato.
That's close enough to demand a recount.
And it is a swing state, too.
Yeah. Did you guys see the EV NASCAR concept?
Yes.
Dude, yeah. Whoa.
It's a CUV body.
Yes, which is insane to me. But the front is so deceiving because the aerodynamics actually make it look like a sports car. But then you see the back and you're like, wait, I've been fooled.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's supposed to be a little edgy. It's supposed to ruffle some feathers. But at the same time, like NASCAR, the whole point of NASCAR is supposed to emulate what a stock car would look like. And that's what cars look like now.
Yep. And, audience reactions. We know a lot about those these days. But immediately everyone's just like, this is stupid. This is dumb. And it's like, it's not replacing NASCARs. It's just a different series.
Yeah. I mean, I do think there is something to that a little bit. Like, obviously, the sentiment about stock cars should resemble more of what we're driving these days is totally valid. But also, I think the fans, like, part of the appeal of the sport is seeing these, super high horsepower V8 cars blasting around the ovals, hearing that noise.
You don't have to watch it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just like what is it? Formula E. Who cares?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm just saying, like, I don't think NASCAR is saying like we're gonna have these two separate series forever. I think it's like
maybe eventually they'll go hybrid or whatever.
It'll go hybrid, or I think it'll go EV at full EV at some point.
I don't know. I doubt it.
I mean, this is like a prototype, basically.
This is a prototype.
It's like a what if.
Let's talk about it. So it's got 1,300 horsepower. This thing is built on top of the next-gen chassis that they're running right now. They also borrowed some engineering from the Garage 56 Le Mans car that raced last year. So that's pretty awesome. It's more of a conversation starter, Max.
Yeah.
And we're talking about it.
Like, I doubt these will just be doing ovals. I'm pretty sure these will be more interior.
I don't know, dude. NASCAR. So, I mean, NASCAR wants to attract manufacturers. They want to have drivetrains that are relevant to manufacturers. And, as I think as EVs become more popular, that just makes sense. Like, if they want to attract manufacturers like BMW or even like Hyundai, anybody who can bring more money to the sport that doesn't have to like develop their own V8 engine or use a V8 from another manufacturer.
Yeah.
I could see it happening, Hybrid makes the most sense to
Hybrid
me,
makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Because then you can have, say, like a turbo V6 hybrid like IndyCar. It would definitely be a lot different than the status quo in NASCAR. But if that's what brings more OEMs to the sport, more eyes to the sport, more money, then I mean that's just what NASCAR is going to do.
See, I guess that's true. Yeah. For me, when I see this, I think immediately of like Nitro Rallycross, where it's just like this EV platform that everyone uses, and then or Stadium Super Trucks. It's just a platform everyone uses. I could see
like a spec series.
Yeah, I could see this being like a NASCAR spec series.
Yeah,
because the batteries and everything. Because if everyone's using different batteries, it just sounds like a huge cluster. You know, so it's just like keep it all the same, keep it close, keep it tight. That way one team isn't dominant. Because
I can see that.
They gotta sound cool though, because I mean, my experience with NASCAR has been, you put your earplugs in and you sound like you're underwater for 2 hours when the race is happening, but that's like such a big part of it.
Right.
I think they could never lose that with NASCAR.
I mean, these things sound pretty good. Should we get a clip?
Yeah, that's fine.
Now imagine
the
like
sound's not
going to
travel though. Exactly.
Yeah.
The thing is,
that's pretty cool.
What's going to be really cool about this is hearing the tires, because that's one thing you don't get from NASCAR is what is actually going on with the tires.
I went to a Formula E race like 5 years ago now over in Brooklyn, and it was a lot louder than I expected.
Yeah.
And you do get a lot more of like hearing the tires working, hearing the brakes working, which is just not something you get at any sort of like traditional motorsport. It's all exhaust is all you hear.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see how this works out.
Yeah.
I bet we see that prototype at a lot more kind of like exhibition events, not just at NASCAR, maybe even at IndyCar events. SEMA for oh yeah.
Yeah.
It certainly is neat.
Biggest news this week. This just like dropped this morning, like 20 minutes ago. Before we even started the show, we had to rewrite this whole script. We had to get in the freaking dock and change it for this. So the Honda Prelude is back, everybody. The car was announced just 20 minutes ago. By the time you hear it, it'll be old news. 2 days ago. But it's got a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with 2 electric motors, making a combined 181 horsepower.
Does it at least look like that concept we got?
It does. It does look like the concept, which is a very good looking car.
Okay.
So it's only confirmed for Europe at the moment, but Road and Track does expect it to make its way to the U.S., provided that the small car market
isn't
holding up. Still holding up.
So this, compared to the concept car, they had this at the LA Auto Show. You saw it.
The front is very Toyota Prius to me.
Yeah, it's
everything is. Have you seen the comparison of like the Ferrari? Versus a Toyota RAV4 or something. I don't know.
It's like Porsche.
In the back, it's following the really hot trend right now of having this single tail light across the back. It's kind of like a Porsche. Very 911.
We're going right back to the 80s, baby.
Yeah. So, I mean, this thing's a good looking car, though. A small 2-door hybrid making less than 200 horsepower. Just feels very European to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how it would do in the U.S. market. It is a very handsome car, so that's cool.
If the safety rating's high enough, I could see a lot of, or it depends on what they're selling it for.
Yeah.
But I could see a lot of parents buying this for their enthusiasts.
I got to think that you start off with a base model, you sell it in Europe, you see how it does. Based on that, they bring it to the US and they hop it up with like a cool, turbo all-wheel drive model, just kind of like the GR Yaris.
Yeah, I mean, Honda does have a small turbo engine that works well. I don't know. Everyone loves their trucks out here. Everyone loves their big cars. Everyone loves their
truck guy
CVs.
Nolan over here. What do you think?
Truck guy Nolan. Well, I've been making averaging 19 miles per gallon in the Ram.
Hey.
Nice.
Mostly by driving like a grandma all the time. But that's how you got to keep that MPG up.
I used your family trailer this weekend.
Nice.
That was great. And I think I got better mileage towing.
That's bizarre. So a smaller car like the Prelude might be a welcome option in the U.S. market. We'll see. Trucks and cars alike are getting bigger and bigger, and Ford CEO Jim Farley has some thoughts about that. That's right. So Farley recently said that Americans are, quote, in love with monster vehicles, but needed to, quote, get back in love with small cars, citing excess weight, among other things, as an issue.
I don't disagree with that.
You know why cars are bigger, though?
Well, mostly for safety.
They got a bunch of
besides that, it's a bypass for them on like taxes. That's why we have bigger cars.
I forget what I have a book about it. It was written in the early 2000s. I mean, like car companies like Ford specifically figured out that large trucks and SUVs over a certain weight did not have to qualify or did not need to meet fuel efficiency regulations. So they basically incentivized the buying public to buy big trucks and SUVs instead of small cars.
Yeah. So it's ironic for him to say this.
Well, it's not like he wasn't the one who made that decision, though. That was something that happened back in the 90s.
I get it. But as a company, though, is like you shoved this down our throats. Now we like it. Now we want it. We always had the idea, right?
Yeah. I looked into Jim's history a little bit. He joined Ford back, I think, in 2007. And then
great time to be at a car company, by the way.
Yeah.
Amazing time.
He became CEO of Ford in 2020. And back a few years ago in 2018, we made a wheelhouse on Ford's decision to stop making small cars. That was something they announced they were going to do. That's why they no longer make the Focus or the Fusion.
Fiesta.
The Fiesta. They only make the Ford Mustang. The Mustang is their only car. Everything else is a CUV, an SUV, or a truck. But that was before Jim Farley came in and took the reins of the company. Before him, the CEO was previously, I forget what his name is, but he was, his previous experience before working at Ford was being the head of Steelcase, which is like a
design
office
firm. Yeah, office furniture design firm.
Yeah. Very, I would say just like finance focused guy.
Very prestigious.
And that's why they made that decision, I think, was like, hey, these small cars don't really sell as well compared to the F-150. F-150, best selling vehicle in the US. Those things, I mean, trucks have like an insane profit margin. They don't cost a lot to build, but you can spec a King Ranch F-150
110 was it
$110,000 I think for a truck that probably cost Ford $30,000 to build,
right?
You know? So huge profit margin. No surprise why they wanted to do that.
And to be fair, I mentioned the 2007 financial crisis. Just about every single car maker went bankrupt. Not Ford
because they sold off their collection.
Yeah,
that was pretty crazy.
Jim Farley though, new perspective on this. He's seeing that like, hey, we can't just like, in my opinion, like they can't just keep selling trucks to everybody. Not everybody needs a truck. Not everybody wants a truck. Not everybody wants a crossover SUV. Even the smallest ones are still kind of big.
Yep.
There needs to be some economy car options, and it feels like Jim is realizing this and maybe trying to turn the tide a little bit. So
yeah.
Bring back the Astro van.
I think there's going to be a pushback in the same way that like, I mean, we're seeing it with YouTube, people got sick of this like hyper, whatever, popular BC format. And now we're seeing a lot more long form stuff. People are like watching stuff on TV again. I think in the same way, people are getting burned out on huge vehicles.
And subscriptions.
They need cheap stuff again.
Well, because life isn't cheap anymore. The inflation is terrible. Rent is super high. Just owning anything is crazy. It's like everyone wants to go to the woods now. But land is too expensive,
I mean, on that note of like buying smaller cars like the Mitsubishi Mirage and Nissan Versa, their sales are up quite a bit this year.
Well, it's because that's all anyone can afford.
So that at least indicates a small shift in the market.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Mitsubishi's going to be all right after all.
Maybe. Farley, though, isn't the only auto exec with complaints about modern cars, people. A few weeks ago, Aston Martin's head of product and market strategy, Alex Long, stated that he thinks, quote, "We've all reached peak screen."
Oh, dude. The screens are out of hand.
They are. They're out of control. He went on to say that Aston's own research shows that people are frustrated by the general trend, particularly in performance cars, sports cars. Basically, if you're tired of screens and touch controls replacing actual buttons in your car, you're not alone. There's people high up who also think that. Yeah, man. I mean, any hybrid or EV or like luxury car feels like it takes like 5 presses on a touchscreen to turn the AC down a
or
click,
to move the direction of the vent now in a lot of cars too.
That is so fucking egregious to me. I hate that.
And I feel like such a boomer from complaining about this, but it is like mind-blowing how I'm just sitting in a car and I want to just make the air go a different direction and I have to navigate through like 5 different menus.
That's why
it took me 3 days to figure out the Cybertruck's wiper. Which got recalled, by the way. Anyway,
great example though.
Yeah,
Tesla is the whole reason this is happening in the first place.
Exactly, and there's a button on the steering wheel that they've implemented on every new Tesla now since the Cybertruck. You press it and it only does one wipe, but when you press it, something comes up on the screen that shows the speed options. That's how you get it to stay on. I just don't
understand. I mean, look, legislation takes a long time. People making laws aren't necessarily like clued into the things that they're legislating. That's nothing new, but like, I just don't see how it could be illegal for you to be on your phone.
Right.
When your car now is a giant phone.
Well, but think about it. Like Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, it literally blocks you from touching the screen if you're driving. Like that's every other car.
The phone companies are better at it than the car companies.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like early 2000s Toyotas, they wouldn't let you touch the nav unless you were stopped.
Yeah.
And now you have to use the screen. What?
It's just so backwards. And I mean, I have to think, auto fatalities have like on an upward trend ever since 2020. And I have to imagine that a lot of that, not a lot of it, I think people are just like driving like maniacs as it is, but
cars are too fast.
Cars are fast. People aren't paying attention. And I have to think that the proliferation of big screens taking over the center consoles is a reason for that, honestly.
Also, because during COVID, to go to the DMV to get a license, it was just like a trust thing. I
mean, that's a whole other topic, honestly, is like driver training in the US compared to some other countries. But I mean, at least like a prestige brand like Aston Martin is aware of this issue. And I mean, that's not even like bring up styling of interiors, like having a big old iPad. It's kind of a cliche to call it the dash iPad, but like it really does
kind of make
every interior, at least every center console, kind of look the same.
It's going to be really dated in a couple of years too.
I think
every single car is going to have that big old screen on there. And then you look at what Porsche's doing with the I believe with the Cayenne, where they have the entire dashboard going through to the glove box on the passenger side. Which
Mercedes
is
doing that too. One of their SUVs. It's like a home movie.
Well, even
screen.
like the Mustang has like the S650, the new generation, has an enormous touchscreen / cluster screen. Takes up like half the dash. I mean, it's admittedly pretty cool looking, but at the same time, like we need to go back. We need to go back.
Yeah.
And that's why everyone needs to buy a Dodge Ram Classic where you have one stock that does everything. You don't have CarPlay.
Sounds like the Brotherhood got Nolan too.
Oh, dude, I love my truck. Anyway,
you know what car has the best AC system of all time? My E30. It's just 3 little things, and it's you can control the top vent, the one that blows at your face, and the one on your legs, and you can adjust exactly how much air comes out, and you just put it to cold or hot, exactly how you want. You don't have to have all these
no touch
dumb buttons or anything like that.
And then they went and ruined it with the E40. Maybe the E36 had this too, but they had that dial. So like, it didn't matter what you set everywhere else, but there's a dial in between the forward vents that can be on hot or cold, and it would override everything.
Huh.
It's so annoying.
Never heard of that. Yeah. So
you know.
Just some other examples of lots of touchscreens and all that. Newer performance cars like the Mark 8, Golf GTI, and R are getting slammed for their haptic controls, while previous generations of the car were praised for their interiors. I don't like haptic stuff either. I kind of get it, like car being a big purchase in your life, you want to feel like you're getting like the best technology that you can afford, I guess, but at the cost of usability. And I've already talked about this ad nauseum a million times. Besides touchscreens, do you guys have any other pet peeves of new cars? That's my biggest one.
I don't like when the cars yell at me when I like, and when I say that, I mean, like I had a rental car that I was driving to Arizona last year, and it would just constantly give me this warning, like, "Hey, pay attention to the road," or like it thought I was falling asleep, and I'm like, "Dude, I'm good, man.
Yeah.
Please stop yelling at me. I don't like it."
Oh yeah, I remember. A lot of cars come with the iSense, since they have the adaptive cruise and self-driving. They come with that iSense where it reads what your eyeballs are doing, but if you wear sunglasses, it's just freaking out.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like,
luckily,
wake up,
a lot of those stuff, like, yeah, we'll get a press car in here and you drive it home and you're just like, this is way too much. Luckily, like a lot of those settings can be just like turned off.
Yeah.
I love that cars have wireless phone chargers now. They never work.
They never work.
What they do is they make your phone hot.
Yes.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah, they're phone
charging,
heaters,
right?
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things never work.
Yeah.
Headlights.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, headlights are very bright, but have you driven with dim lights?
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I just got some LEDs I got some retrofits on the Tundra, and it's like I don't use any of my street legal fog KC lights and everything. I don't use them because it's like I can see everything, and I aimed them. I wasn't like that guy that lifts his truck and just beams it right through your windshield.
Right.
I aimed mine and made sure that it was like right at the shoulder line of most vehicles. But what's happening is people stare right into them, like a deer. They just look right at it, and then they start flicking me. Like I'm like, hey,
well, maybe you need to adjust it again. Yeah.
Stop looking at me. Well, I can see the line.
Yeah.
It's crisp.
Justin is the truck guy with the bright lights, just so everybody's clear.
Yes,
here.
absolutely.
Situation.
Yeah.
The one other thing that I just can't stand with new cars is the interior cameras. It freaks me out. I don't like having a camera on me when I'm driving.
Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of that. I could see it being useful in maybe like a black box scenario, like you get in an accident and you can prove to your insurance company, or if like someone's like, oh, they were on their phone when they crashed into me, you can like prove that that's not the case.
I think Corvettes do that.
Corvettes I know they have outward facing.
They have outward facing, and they record.
Because you can do like your track cam, but also like a dash cam, basically.
Yeah, because I got a lot of like mechanics in trouble because they would go, this guy doesn't drive his car. I'm gonna clear it out real quick.
Exactly. Yeah.
And dash cams are good. I think dash cams.
dash cams are a great innovation.
Are good. I gotta wire mine up.
I know. I still have one. Yeah. I need to put in my truck. But my biggest fear with the dash cam is that if I get in an accident, I'm gonna be like either listening to like the most embarrassing podcast of all time, or like singing along to like it doesn't even matter. Oh shit! Like, I don't need that.
Wind up on Live Leak.
Idiot listening to Flagpole Sitta gets in accident. Yeah. I don't need that in my life. But,
one design cue that I'm torn on. I don't like it, but some people have made them look good. Is the hood lights, where it's like just running lights, and then the actual headlights are like either
Way
in the
down
bumper
low.
or they look like fog light.
Yeah.
It's so jarring to me. Yeah. But like Kia kind of
was Juke the one that has that?
The Juke was the Juke and the Cherokee were the first ones to really do it. We have a truck we're about to talk about that is a weird version of this, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, isn't that what pop-up headlights are though? Kind of deceiving you into thinking that a car looks a certain way and then the lights are different.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Huh?
So the first one I ever saw was the original Kia Stinger Coupe concept. This was like 2005, and it had this like crazy, awesome pop-up headlight, like smooth look, like an ARC-7 almost. But then all the headlights and everything was down in the bumper.
The real lights that were doing the actual lighting.
There were no lights up top. It was all down low.
Whoa.
And it looked sick.
Yeah.
And it looked really cool. But then we got the Kia Stinger sedan over a decade later. Whoops.
Great car.
That looked really cool because it kept that sleek line. But then when you break the sleekness with this weird eye looking thing, it
must
doesn't
be
look
for
as
some
good.
sort of compliance or something, some regulation that you need to have. I bet
maybe
it's got to be. What's the most embarrassing song to be caught listening to if you got an accident on your dash cam?
Something from TikTok.
Yeah. I know you got something, Max.
Some meme music.
Come on, dude.
I don't know. I'm really supportive of whatever anybody wants to listen to. I've been screaming MCR lately.
Yeah.
Just that's pretty bad, I think. I'm not
I can see that.
ashamed about it or anything. I just
definitely not.
You know.
But if you were in an accident and sent that video to
I
your
think
insurance,
if it was like a song off of Danger Days, that'd be really embarrassing. But
Get Out the Way by Ludacris.
Did not get out the way fast enough. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's see.
Danger Days isn't a bad album. I like Danger Days. I just like the reputation that it has is like it is not their peak. It's like it's their worst era. I love MCR. I like some songs off that, but it would be pretty embarrassing.
Trying to hit like the high notes on Miss Murder by AFI would probably not be the best look. I could not do that. If you're not interested in new cars like we've been talking about, a RESTOMOD might be more your speed. It's a big trend right now.
Nolan, what exactly is a RESTOMOD though?
Well, Max
took over. God damn.
The word itself is a portmanteau of restoration and modification.
You don't say.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this type of build is. Restoring an older car and modifying it in the process, which often means modernizing it to some degree, making it more livable, making it more modern.
I've always understood like a RESTOMOD to be not just a modded car, but something that is built with the intention of being stock looking or as if it left the factory, but with modifications.
See, for me though, it's always just been updated. Like bring it to times. That's what a RESTOMOD is to me.
I think,
but using the original.
Yeah,
car.
I'm thinking now. I remember, just like growing up reading Hot Rod magazine, RESTOMODs kind of became like some shop thought that they could do a better job designing a front end for like a classic car, like a 69 Camaro with just like the worst looking grill you've ever seen in your life.
19-inch wheels.
Yeah, not even like 23s on a muscle car, like
and
look, I do think can be done well depending on the.
There are great examples of there are a lot of shops that do a great job at RESTOMODs. Like Ring Brothers does a great job. Like they did this great OEM plus looking muscle car. But then, I think that there was the whole, Velocity Network era of RESTOMODing.
Chip Foose.
That's kind of what I'm talking about there.
It was like a lot of like silver and orange paint and chrome and billet everywhere.
And tribal.
I think that's kind of like, especially that's a hallmark of the muscle car RESTOMOD scene is like having billet, like custom grills, custom inlay stuff. But yeah, I mean, again, like Speedcore. So out in Wisconsin, Speedcore, we've worked with them before. We featured their carbon fiber, I think it was a Charger on Bumper to Bumper years ago. But they're still at it. Like they've really improved their production.
But this just reminds me of like Coach Built. It's just like you just take whatever car to a coach builder and then they make it a lot of money.
Basically, I mean, these are collector cars for sure. And maybe a buyer loves the look and the spirit of a classic, but they don't want to actually deal necessarily with all the quirks that come with owning a stock classic car. You're going to go buy a RESTOMOD. It's going to ride a lot better. Usually they have custom chassis underneath them with like sometimes bespoke suspension geometry. You know, the engines are usually, you know, at the very least fuel injected.
Yeah, more reliable.
Yeah, more reliable, just smoother shifting, smoother riding, better gas, fuel economy.
Well, dude, you and I drove that Gunther Works 911 a couple of years ago,
dude, that was
which
insane.
was it's the best car I'll ever drive, hands down.
You think so?
I don't know. I mean, it was pretty freaking good, dude.
That was cool.
It was just like,
I don't even know how that even happened. We were at Sean Lee's shop. Was that on my birthday? No, that was a different day.
It was during COVID, and Sean Lee was like, "Hey, you guys got to come over to my man cave. I've got this car here." And we're like, "Okay, we're gonna hang out with Sean, and then we'll see this car, and then he gives us the keys."
Yeah,
like
so like this
What was
it's $1 million Porsche.
Icon 4x4.
Oh, Icon's great.
I think they're up in the valley somewhere. But you know, they build like custom Broncos or Scouts or Land Rovers, but they'll put modern running gear underneath. Their interiors are like hand-dyed leathers and stuff like that. Like very, very
That's
nice
coach
stuff.
built.
I love They do this. They do a type of car called a derelict, where they take just like your Imperial, basically the most like patinaed out, ratty looking thing from the outside, but on the inside, like you said, it's like beautiful,
amazing
interiors, immaculate
like
engine,
modern sound systems.
Dude.
Usually like
I think that's a big
like,
one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, gotta have
Apple
my tunes,
CarPlay.
dude. Yeah. The only time I went to SEMA, they debuted their Mercury that had like a full electric running gear underneath.
Wow.
It's the sickest, dude. It's the sickest car.
I know what you're talking about. Cool. Have we reached peak restomod? Because like I get that, like, okay, you want a Porsche 911 with a carbon fiber body, you're rich, sure, that makes sense. But I've seen an F-250 long bed with a full carbon fiber body at this point, and it just feels like too much.
Why? It's not even a truck
Get
anymore.
the short bed.
There must have been some technological thing that happened in the last couple of years that just
made
allowed people to start
so
making
much
these
easier
full
to
carbon things,
yeah,
right?
Produce, yeah. I don't know if we reached. I think as long as there are people out there who have tons of expendable income to, you know, have commissioned their favorite cars just to like the most insane degree of performance and comfort, I don't know if we'll ever see that go away. I think it's, to me, I think an industry that's only maybe just starting. You know, I think we mentioned it last week. There's a company that's building like the Lancia 037, but with a new kind of modern twist on it.
Right.
I think we're going to start seeing more of that from maybe, I don't know, from smaller markets that are now getting access to that carbon technology.
What would be your dream restomod? I think we're gonna see. I'm not joking. I think we're going to see a restomod PT Cruiser.
Are you serious?
I guarantee we will start seeing that soon, because it's entering that territory where there's this nostalgia and it's this goofy classic, but I think it's gonna enter a new era, and somebody's gonna make a carbon bodied, you know, mid rear engine, rear wheel drive PT
I mean, that
Cruiser.
would be pretty sick.
Hellcat.
I mean, maybe I guess that wouldn't be my first choice, but
no,
I think that's where we're headed.
It's going to be from the 90s.
Jimmy's doing I guess you'd call this a restomod on his
Yeah,
Miata, and that's something we're talking about.
He's doing a lot of period stuff, though. I wouldn't say it's restomod.
Yeah, but he is restoring every nut and bolt.
But
zinc
he's not
plated.
He's not upgrading the interior. He's not putting modern touches to it.
He's not putting modern touches to it, but I think he's building a restomod in the older sense, where it's like imagining like the ultimate Miata
from then,
just without like having access to a carbon fiber like autoclave or something like that. You know, like he's got all these parts that he's been saving for like years, just building the perfect car for him. I think like his is like a mild restomod, I would say, but not a restomod in the modern sense that we've been talking about. Yeah.
Well, so now that muscle cars are dying again, I'm thinking something from the 90s, like Gen 3 Camaros, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like dad rock kind of cars, you know, full of cigarettes kind of thing.
Cigarette cars, yeah.
Cigarette cars. There
What's
you go.
that? There, Jeremiah's like obsessed with that company that made like those really sick catfish Camaros with the wide body and like the blower on it. I forget what company.
Dick Harrelson, I think it's called.
Harrelson, that's right.
Dick Harrelson, I think it's called. So my brother is also an F-body guy.
Yeah.
We grew up. Our first car was a V6 automatic one, and he stuck with that platform for a long time afterwards. Thanks, Gran Turismo. But yes, the Dick Harrelson body kit one was one of the fastest ones ever made. It looked really good.
They look sick.
It has I actually know a guy with one.
Wow.
And he made molds of the body kit.
Oh,
and I'm trying to get Jeremiah to freaking buy it. But yeah, it is like top tier one. And I think stuff like the one just sold for over $100,000.
I could totally see someone, F body or Catfish specifically, like taking inspiration from that car and building.
I think like IROX.
RESTOMODs.
I think IROX and then those F body ones. I think those are coming back.
And you know what makes so much sense about that is being in like Jeremiah's Catfish, for example. It's nice, you know, it's original, but the interior was bad then.
Right.
And so you'd update it with like what is a good modern like GM-ish interior today.
Right. And they already, you know, can fit LSs. You know, they came with them, whatnot. Like,
LS swap from the factory.
yeah. You know, screw a C5. Get a Camaro.
Dude, I'll tell you, Jer's car, like with those huge, it's got 315s, I think, at every corner.
And it fits them like nothing.
It's got a lot of grip. That thing is really fun on track.
If I had to guess why we're not seeing more modern RESTOMODs like Catfish, probably smog. Because you can get away with doing anything to a pre-76
really good
car
point.
in California, at least.
It's a really good point.
I bet that would make an impact.
Our last story this week, Kia announced that they're going to be bringing to market a body-on-frame truck.
Yeah, so
called
the TASMAN. It may not make it to the U.S. It's kind of rumored to be coming here, but they are pushing for Australia. And everyone in Australia is like, oh, is this the Ranger killer? You know, because it's supposed to be, you know.
I mean, if it's cheaper than the Ranger, then that's possible.
There's no price point yet, but it is goofy looking.
It's interesting. Yeah, insane. I mean, the prototype that they showed off has a wrap on it that it's basically an art car. I forget the artist's name. But very interesting looking. You can kind of make out what the grill and the headlights are going to look like. It's very blocky.
The headlights are like on the side.
It's the most classic truck shape I've seen in a long time.
It looks like a truck you see in New Mombasa on Halo.
Yeah, that's so true. It is very Halo-like.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that about the Santa Fe? What's the truck, the Hyundai truck called?
Yeah.
Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz. The Santa Cruz is also Halo-esque, Bungie-esque. This thing is no different, except this is a body-on-frame truck, unlike the Santa Cruz.
Cool. I
think it looks sweet, and I would love to see one in like a normal color instead of this crazy art, but I mean, the art's pretty cool.
So we were talking about screens earlier. This is based off of an SUV that already exists in Australia, and one of the reviews I saw, because the interior of this got leaked. One of the test mules, someone just walked in.
Yeah,
just filmed it.
That'll happen.
But the air controls are literally, you have steering wheel, and then it's on the screen right on the other side of the steering wheel. You can't even see it.
Don't like that.
No, but it is 4-wheel drive. For them, it comes in diesel. I doubt we'll get the diesel.
No, probably not.
It has a pretty good sized bed. It's 4-door. You know, BFGs right now. We'll see. But it's like huge.
It's the most truck-looking truck I've ever
seen.
In
a while.
Yep.
It's like Rivian size.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks really big with someone standing next to it. But I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
I think if it came to the US, it would do okay. I think people, you know, want a truck for a good price. Trucks, especially, are so expensive. It's crazy, especially if you get any options.
And if they put that at a good price point, like they would destroy here.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, and like a 2-ton payload.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
If I had to do an art car, I would have neck face painted.
Nice. Yeah. That has been our show this week. Thank you so much for listening to Big Three. Go ahead and follow Justin on social media at
Justin Freeman.
Follow Max at
Max Maddox.
Follow me at Nolan J. Sykes if you'd like. Big thanks to our crew this week. We got Gavin Kinzel, Nick Giamuso, Audrey Holden. We got Peter Nelson in the studio today and Mark Schroeder over there with a Sliders hat on. Go ahead and support LA baseball.
Woo!
Shouts out. Heard you had a great game 2 weeks ago. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Happy belated 4th of July.
That's right.